So, did you think of it? Well, the hint is actually staring right at you, and that's this puzzle over here. Notice when I solve this, I only put these two in. So these two are in. I kept these two out just to demonstrate what happens when I do that. I even put these up so that I can demonstrate it better. But notice this is in and this is in, but these two need to be swapped. This orange and green belongs here. This red and green belongs over here. The reason why that happened, this can be swapped if this can be swapped. So that's actually what happened with this, because what I did is when I oriented this, I was just focusing on these two. But how do I know that these two belong? This edge here and this edge here. How do I know that these two are not in the right position? Just because I put these two in doesn't mean these two are right, any more than if I put these two in, these two are right. So the other step that I skipped conveniently is, though even though these two are correct on both of these puzzles, these two are not correct. And the only way to know that they're not correct is the observation of an impossibility, an apparent parity that happens. I just falsely equivocated this edge with this edge. So when this occurs, all I have to do is I have to now put these two in. And the way that I do that is I hold it to where the one that's in is to the right and to the back, and do the algorithm again. R, U, R, I, U, R, to U, R, I. Then I move it in, and now you can see all of these are fine. And after having done that, I can now start placing these. You can see that this is correct, and none of these are correct over here. So the parity is basically fixed, which frees me up to do the rest of the puzzle. This is in. Turn, 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 turn. So you can see this is in, this is in, this is in, and this is in. Then we just do our usual way of solving it. Turn, 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 turn. Turn, and done. So we're going to do the same thing here. So should you run into this, assume that these two are rotated wrong. So what I'm going to do is hold this to the right and this to the back, and simply go like R, U, R, I, U, R, to U, R, I. It resets everything. Then I'm going to move my centers back in. This is good, and these two should be fine. We now take a look at everything. This is incorrect. This is incorrect. This green one is incorrect, and this is also incorrect. So let's see what happens when we do the same thing. U, R, U, I, L, I, U, R, I, U, I, L. Not correct, not correct, not correct, and still not correct. This belongs here, and these two need to be swapped. So do it again. Turn, 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 and turn. Okay, not correct. This is correct. This is not correct because it's green and not red. Therefore, this is not correct. So you can see that the parity was taken out. And now that it's taken out, I can hold this over here and now turn these around. So that's the unique part of this puzzle. That's what's different about this. With this one, because you have these equivalencies of edges and corners, well, really more edges, you can potentially run into that problem, and that might be the only pratfall that you might run into with this. So U, R, U, I, L, I, turn, 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 and turn. So now, this red is where it needs to be. This red and green is where it needs to be. This green with the two crosses is where it needs to be, and this has always been where it needs to be. So now it's just a question of putting this back in. R, I, D, I, R, D, R, I, D, I, R, D, R, I, D, I, R, D, R, I, D, I, R, D. So now this is in, you can see it's lined up here. Move this into position, now do the same thing. R, D. Okay, this is in, but we have a problem. We're still messed up over here. Well, the reason why we're still messed up, even though everything appears to be in, the problem is this one over here needs to be flipped around. We saw a similar kind of a parity in the Megamorphings series, where one corner can be rotated around. So although these are in, if you end up in a situation where you keep whipping it around, you put them in the proper place, but they don't seem to fit, it's because this last triple area here just needs to be wound around, and you keep doing that until you put them until everything is solved with the rest of the puzzle. R-I, D-I, R, D, R-I, D-I, R, D, and we keep going with that. R-I, D-I, R, D, and upon doing that, we now move this in, and we can see that we've taken it back to the native shape with the baseline 3x3. So that's really the catch with this puzzle over here, is a possibility of fallacies of false equivocation with this corner at the end, and also the potential with these edges once we're trying to permute these edges over here. The rest is really just a matter of what we've seen before, placing these like the centers of a 5x5 supercube. So if we were to try that over here, this belongs here. Any other blues that I can use here? I've got the blue and white. The blue and white belongs, well, over here. So it belongs over here. So I'm just going to put that in. So put it in, bump it out of the way, turn it up. The rest of the blues are, well, here's another one here. This belongs over here. Move it in, turn it out of the way, move it up. Now I've got one more to choose from, which is this yellow one here. Yellow and blue. Bring it up, turn it in, bring it down. So you can see these are all correct. Now it's just a matter of putting in corners. So this is red and yellow. Red and yellow here, turn, 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 and turn. And now white and orange. Turn, 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 and turn. And finally this, yellow and orange. Well, not finally, there's another one to go. But this part is pretty straightforward, and I'm not using any different techniques from the previous cross 3x3x5 series. Turn, turn, turn. Okay. Now with the last two, is there any catches with this? Is there something tricky about this one? Well, let's see. This is right. The way that I do the last two centers is I first put the edges in on all of them. So I'm going to put this belongs, well, it belongs over here. So turn, turn, and turn. And now this belongs here. Bring it here. Turn. Move this out of the way. And now turn and turn. Okay, so you can confirm that all these are where they need to be. Now how about here? Well, this is where it needs to be, and I'm going to do that same algorithm to put edges in on the 3x3 until I get the orange and blue one over here. R, U, R, I, U, R, 2U, R, I. Orange and blue. You can see this is not correct and this is not correct, so we're running into the same issue, but now we can visualize it better. So I'm going to move this over here so that the ones that are correctly aligned are to the right and to the back, and do R, U, R, I, U, R, 2U, R, I. So no new algorithms here, we're just applying different strategies. So all of these are in. So now corners. The way that I like to do corners is the algorithm is going to take this, put this to here, and this to here. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to line up whole segments so that I can take it out of the way. Because if these are participating, this isn't participating, and these aren't participating on the top. So we can see that we have two over here, so I can place this one or this one. And which one do I want to do? Well, we've got a green and a yellow. Here's a green and a yellow. So one flip of this algorithm will take this and put it here. This blue and red will come here, and this will come over here. Won't do any good, but at least we'll have a solid area here. So that algorithm is going to be R, UI, LI, U, RI, UI, L. So I have and then you can turn it back over here. But I have a nice line over here with these two not quite where they need to be. So I'm going to turn this upside down to keep this over here, and I'm going to start flipping things around. Well, actually, let me do this. Because these aren't where they need to be, if I do that algorithm again, this white, blue, and red will end up here where it needs to be. So there's no specific way of doing this at this point. You just kind of strategize with it and make it work. So we'll go ahead and proceed with that. R, UI, LI, U, RI, UI, L. That places at least this where it needs to be over here, and we're still doing okay with these guys over here. So now this, where do we want to put this? Well, I've got these two here, so I want to either put a white one here or here. This one happens to be green and orange, and a green and orange will find a nice place over here, completely opposite where I want it to be. So instead, what I'm going to see if I can do is move this red and green over to here. So I'm just going to do the algorithm twice. Turn, 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 turn. So same algorithm as 5x5 supercube. Centers. Another twist of the algorithm will put this white, red, and green over here, which is where I need it to be. Turn, 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 and turn. Okay, so what I have is this edge, this solid area here done, and I've got pretty much this whole side in except for one over here. So I'm going to move this to the top, because if I do that, I'm just going to be cycling this piece. I'll move these to the bottom. And the thing about this particular puzzle, to make up for all that false equivocation and whatnot from before, this part is actually very easy, because you're always going to reach a situation where you're going to be able to 3-cycle these quite easily. So this will come here and be done, this will come here and be done, and this will come down here and be done. So one more, turn, 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 and turn, and all the cross areas are done, and your tricube is done, finished. So this one was an interesting one. This one is not the same kind of challenge as the others. In many ways, it's even more of a challenge. Definitely a worthy addition to your 3x3x5 puzzle collection. I'm going to wrap this up with another one where we go through the actual cross cube and the temple cube, and then just kind of round them up to give you a little bit of a feel for which puzzles and which parts of the series may be, worth keeping as part of that if you didn't want to buy the whole thing. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching.